Hi, I'm Anna. I'm a search specialist at Koozai. This video is about all the different ways that you can track your website. It's inspired by a quote from John Wanamaker from many years ago, who said that half of his advertising works, but he doesn't know which half. The benefit of having a website is that you can actually track everything. You can track user interaction and how the users get to your site. There's so many different things you can do with tracking. So I'm going to take you through a few examples of all the things I'd recommend thinking about when you're implementing tracking on your site. Most of what I'm going to talk about today you can do for free in Analytics. Google Analytics is a nice, easy thing to implement. Set up an account, grab the tracking code, throw it on every page, and then think about the customizations. What you want to think about first is what the goal of the website is. What is a conversion? Do you need people to buy products or to sign up to a newsletter? Perhaps it's just an RSS feed or to grow your Twitter followers. Whatever the purpose of a website, you can track it and you can work out from those statistics what's working and what you might need to improve. So the first step of tracking in Analytics is usually setting up a goal. Goals can be used to measure visits to certain pages or the certain length of a visit to a certain page, or the number of pages per visit. What we're going to look at now is using URLs as a goal destination. So let's have a look at this list. The ones that have specific destinations that are the confirmation pages are going to be tracked as goals. So let's label these. We've got requesting a callback and emailing Koozai. Both of these, when you click the link, it takes you to something and you get a confirmation page to say this action has been completed. That's what URL we use in our goal. Other things require goals, but are a little more complicated to set up. For example, when you click the button for live chat, this takes you off page. We use a different service to offer our live chat through. So the way to do this is to use virtual page views. Virtual page views work by adding a line of code to the link here that states that when this is clicked, it generates a virtual page view. Basically, you choose what you would like your URL to look like, and any clicks on this then appear as a page view for that page that you've specified in this extra piece of code. And once you've specified your extra line of code for your virtual page view, you use that as the destination in your goal. So that's nice and easy, goals and virtual page views. Next is slightly more complicated. We've got a phone number. Now you can't track that in Google Analytics, although functionality is coming for tracking that in AdWords, but that's for the future. At the moment, we're using a different call tracking service, and this gives us one phone number per visitor. So each visit that you make to the website, you'll see a slightly different phone number. When you use this phone number, it then records data into this service, and we can see where you came from and what you did on the site before making this call. That's called call tracking. I'd recommend call tracking to anyone using AdWords or who actually makes more money from the phone than they do from other services. It's good to integrate it across your website and through your advertising techniques. Next up, one that's not on the list. It follows on from goals. It's e-commerce tracking. This is when you have a shop on site. Unfortunately, Koozai doesn't, so I couldn't use an example. If somebody purchases something on your site, you want to know exactly what they purchased, how much it was, and where this person came from and what they did on site. There are so many different pieces of information you could get, and you can really segment how each type of visitor purchases on your site. We'll leave that one up there. If you've got an e-commerce site, definitely implement e-commerce tracking. Next up, we've got a search on our site. When people type in something here, we might want to know what they're typing. So we can do this through tracking internal search. There's a little setting within the profile within Google Analytics where you can set up internal search to be tracked. you put in your query string, and you then open up a whole new area of analytics where you can see which search terms were used, what pages they were used on, and what pages they resulted in, as well as a few other bits of data. It's really good to work out what people are looking for on your site and what you might be missing. So definitely implement that if you can. Next up, we're going to skip over the phone number again, but we've got some social media links that we have on our blog. Now, these go to external sites, external pages, but we don't really want to create a virtual page view because actually they're not our sites and they're not a service that we offer. So what are we going to do? Well, this is where we use event tracking. Events are used to say there was a click here or this action happened. So what we're tracking, we've put a different piece of code on each section, whether it's clicking the follow us on Twitter words or whether it's clicking the image. And then the same for the RSS and the RSS image. When people click these things, it tells us exactly what they clicked. And then we can segment it and find out that certain people coming from certain sources click more than others, that sort of thing. You can also now, in the new version of analytics, view these as goals. So now, when somebody clicks on Twitter, we could set that up as a goal if we wanted to. So that's most of this list covered, but there's a few other bits to consider. What I'm going to go over next is a heat map. Now basically this can tell you where people are clicking on your website. This is good to know because some links are going to be more prominent than others, and you're going to want to know what people actually want to see when they come to your site. For example, on our site, would you be clicking the link for SEO, or the link for PPC, or maybe the link for the blog? Using a heat map can show you which are the most popular areas of your site in a nice visual representation. There's also some other services in addition to Google Analytics that you can use for this, but we'll probably go over these in another blog post or another video another time. So, custom variables. If you've heard of this, then you're doing well already. Custom variables are used to segment visitors in different ways, or to segment areas of your site. It involves putting a line of code on each page in addition to the normal tracking code that states what the variable of that page or that user is. We'll be doing another blog post and some videos on that in the future. An example of custom variables is whether it's looking at members and non-members. If you can segment a logged-in user and then compare it to a non-logged in user, you could probably see the different ways that different types of people interact with different areas of your site and how. So that's one of those things to look at in the future. The last one is slightly complicated. It involves more than just one line of code. That's cross-domain tracking. Most people won't have to worry about this, but where you've got two different sites, or even just a subdomain, and you've got different Google Analytics tracking codes, different UA numbers on each of these, you're going to need cross-domain tracking. So what this is it's one extra line of code in the normal piece of text, and also a line of code per link between the sites. So if somebody goes over to a subdomain, the link they use to get over there needs an extra line of code. And then the cookie data is transferred with that click. It's basically a way of stopping the visits from another of your own domains from showing up as referral traffic and showing it up as its original source of data. So that's the majority of things covered. Obviously there's quite a lot there, and I haven't actually told you how to set any of them up. You'll have to look at our blog to find out how. We'll also be doing some more videos on these things, but hopefully this gives you a really good idea of the sorts of things you should be considering when tracking your website. If you've got any questions, feel free to get in contact with us. We do offer good analytics services. In addition to that, if you're interested in the videos that we have all about digital marketing, lots of different topics to do with SEO, brands, PPC, if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel, that would be really helpful for you. You'd then get emails and updates when we post new videos. But thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video.